Good afternoon, Bronzeville and others in the Bronzeville community. And we're having a downpour right now, so I got wet and most other people coming in are getting wet. So those that have made the meeting, thank you for coming. And we'll have another informative meeting. And next month is the holiday month. We will not have a meeting. Our next meeting will be the second Saturday in September. We always take August off, vacations, whatever. And so on this rainy Saturday, the 12th of September, I'll open our general meeting for the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association. And President Willis Brown is out today. He'll be back in September. So many things happening in the neighborhood. And one of the things affecting this neighborhood, every neighborhood in the state of Ohio, are the property taxes. This is one of the big issues that whatever your political inclination is, whether Republican, Independent, Democrat, or anywhere in between, we all feel frustration, disappointment, and concern, particularly those of us that have property, have houses. And we now know that when Governor DeWine vetoed several attempts to deal with the property tax situation, the state legislature, which is predominantly Republican, are coming back in special session, and they're going to address his veto and possibly override what they can. Now, what they're wanting to do doesn't affect all of us that need to be affected, but it's an attempt. But we need to do something. There's people now who, not only seniors that own property, but there's people who are younger than seniors who are really concerned about their property. So the state has to do something, and this is all across the country. We're going through the same routine. We need to do something. We know all the reasons why they say they can't do it, but that doesn't help somebody who loses their house. So we have to find a way to do it. So in this Bronzeville neighborhood community, this is definitely one of the great concerns that we keep talking about. We've had our local state rep, Dontavius Gerald's here. We've told him repeatedly. He says he's working on it. We hope we get some kind of action. And if we don't get any action this time, it'll come back again. And I'm sure many people heard there has been an action for a petition to deal with property taxes. And if we have to come up with another petition for another action on property taxes, we'll keep doing it. And we have to do something. And so in the Bronzeville neighborhood, which for those of you who may not have been here recently, there's a lot of activity, construction activity, a lot of real estate transactions. And that's going from East Broad Street to the south, and 670 to the north, Jefferson to the west, and Taylor Avenue to the east. And within that, we have single-family homes, we have apartments, and we have several projects, particularly on Long Street, that are taking place. There's other projects in the neighborhood, single-family homes, projects being proposed, which are very nice. We need all those. But the particular projects that are probably the highest profile at the moment are happening on Long Street. We have the Deal apartments that are going up, which the funeral director, Richard Deal, and his family had that property, and they have now, after his passing, have continued what he wanted to do with a new apartment complex. It looks gorgeous. And hopefully it'll be finished close to the end of the year, early next year. And the other major project we have is the Creole Kitchen in the Alden Apartments, which is on the other side of Garfield on Long Street from the Lincoln Theater. And Chef Butcher had the Creole Kitchen in Mount Vernon Plaza for many years, probably close to 20 years he was there. So it's nice that they're continuing in a wonderful location right beside the Lincoln Theater. So they've started construction. We hope By the end of the year, it'll be available. So people on Long Street, whether they're driving through, walking through, or coming in or going out of the Lincoln Theater, can stop and have a nice lunch with a very good established restaurant that's known around the city. I know a lot of city employees over the years have stopped at Creole Kitchen, so and all the city workers know about it. We in the neighborhood know about it. So we have those two projects. And the disappointing thing we have, and we keep talking about this, is the traffic calming in the neighborhood. We were told over a year ago that we were, quotes, the guinea pigs. They had several plans for traffic calming in the neighborhood. And to do traffic calming, they have to do a series of blocks. You can't just do one street. Because if you do something with humps, road diet, where you narrow the street, you constrict something, however that works, if you do it on one or two streets, people just avoid it and go to the next streets. So you have to do a large enough area that it impacts anybody traveling through the neighborhood. So again, we're asking the city, please, we need help for traffic calming. We have people, including Columbus City Public School bus drivers, flying down the streets. This is the shortcut to the bus yard. So once they travel 20 miles an hour to unload the school kids, which is nice, and the bus is empty, forget the speed limit. They go like 50 down various streets. This is getting tiresome. Please, city, we need some help. The other thing is on Broad Street. Again, Broad Street, East Broad Street is a great river. It's a great divide. It might as well be a freeway, the way people pass. For people from Bronzeville to go to Old Town, or Old Town people to come to Bronzeville to go to the Lincoln Theater, if you cross Broad Street, take a prayer, take your Bible with you, and run. Because it's a real challenge crossing that street. And even when you cross at a crosswalk, people want to run you down. So something has to be done there. And then we go to the Bronzeville neighborhood, the character of the Bronzeville neighborhood. And President Willis Brown and I have talked about this, and other people for some time. This is now a 150-year-old neighborhood. A lot of people say 100-year neighborhood. We're beyond 100 years. 1870s, they laid the streets out, they put the plumbing in, they put the sewers in, the brick streets, some of the sidewalks. So we've been here for a long time. But one of the characteristics of this neighborhood, which is nice, we have numerous streets, and we have nice street trees. And the street trees are not only nice for the residents who live there at the house or walk by, but the street trees also cover much of the street. And because of the width of our streets, the location of the street trees and their size, what they do is they cool the neighborhood down. So we have several streets which are very pleasant, very nice, which you get in the older established neighborhoods. When your streets are too wide and your trees are too far from the street, they don't cover the street. And they don't cover the street, it makes it warm, makes it hot. So that's one of the things we're blessed with. Yes, we have difficulties in the neighborhood. We don't have everything the way we would like it, but we have trees. And speaking of trees, we're asking, we're pleading, we're suggesting to new residents, renters, people coming in the neighborhood, plant trees. I know our current president has done some things to discourage tree planting. They've cut back on monies for tree planting programs across the country. Excuse me. But we need trees. Plant trees in your yard. You can talk to the city. They will help you. They have various people, arborists, whatnot, that can come out. We need more trees. It really does make a difference, particularly in the summer. It will cool, reduce your electric bill for air conditioning, all those things. And so we have a limited number of people in our meeting today because it's torrential rain we have, which is nice. But we have two gentlemen here today which can give us more information on various things we're doing in the neighborhood. We have Mr. Rutherford, who's doing the neighborhood cleanup. If you would be interested in informing us of the latest.
Well, we had a 3 weeks ago, which was a homeless encampment in front of Edwards Drugstore on 20th and Mount Vernon. And I went to the police. They said we can't do anything about that because it's a code violation. It's not a crime. We went to the code violation people. They said, well, it's on city right of way, so we can't do anything about it. And it seemed to be at an impasse. And I finally figured out that the Department of Development was able to put a trespassing violation on it. And after 3 weeks, they were able to get it resolved. They came out and it's gone, okay? But Edwards Pharmacy now puts up a notice that they're permanently closed. I don't know whether that had to do with the fact they didn't have any business for 3 weeks, or whether they just got fed up with the neighborhood, or whether the city said it's your problem, you take care of it, and they got upset about that. I don't know what happened, but Edwards Pharmacy now closed. They've been there for 50 years.
Yeah, they closed for some time, and the son now has control of the building, and he's doing a development in that.
They're going to develop a building.
Yeah, he's going to do another project.
Yeah, another project.
Yeah.
Well, the notice just came out this week that it's closed.
Yeah.
And anyway, we got that issue resolved because that was changing the character of the neighborhood. Young men were hanging out there, and
Right.
we got that resolved. I've been working on Mount Vernon for about 3 weeks now. Mount Vernon looks pretty good now. We got pretty well cleaned up. We've got Long Street pretty well cleaned up. We're waiting for some small grants to come through so that we can do all the streets by September 1st when the kids go back to school. If I can get some grants to come through, I think we can get it all cleaned up. But I need some help in doing that with the contractor now a little bit. But hopefully in the next 6 weeks we'll be able to clean up the rest of the streets pretty well. And, what's encouraging is that so many people now are beginning to take care of their own property and make small improvements, and you can see it visibly. I would guess that it's probably about, we started this in June of last year. I would guess it would probably, let's say the environment's probably about 60, at least 60% improvement than it was a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to do another big push before school starts, and I think we'll see some improvements going forward in September too. So, but the homeless camp was an issue, a big issue. It was changing the character of the neighborhood. They had a tent out there.
Right.
So anyway, that got resolved. It took a while, but that got resolved.
So several years ago, near where we have our meeting here at Bethany, a little close by, we had an encampment also. And I believe it was the health department that helped us out
Yeah.
in that situation, because there's all kinds of health issues, as you know, sanitary is and other things that cannot be done when they have just a simple tent on the sidewalk. So
I
that
don't
would be
think they
another
have a fair,
avenue.
I don't think they have a fair path. It all depends on whether the city right away or private property. None of the departments interact with it. None of them know what the others are doing.
Right.
It turned out the Department of Development is where we got the action done with the trespassing order. And that's how we got it resolved.
Right. Yeah, that's a problem all over the inner city. As we know, there's short north also. We have people camping out in the doorways of buildings that are closed, or businesses that are closed down, where there's a police sign, and they'll put all their things there, and they make these structures that hides them from being seen. So the city's had to do various things, but whenever we see that, we need to address it. And I was aware of that, and it's a good thing that we took action. Like I said, we've had that in the past, and I guess we'll have to make contact with the city and find out what the procedure is in dealing with something like that when it occurs, so we don't have to go around and try and figure out what to do.
The departments don't interact with each other very well. Willis was gone for 2 weeks, so I
Right.
sort of stepped in and followed up on it. But they got a result eventually. But it makes a big difference. It was actually the neighborhood. It was changing the character of the neighborhood to have that out there.
Oh yeah, it's
just a huge setback. So we need to get a result.
but there's been various locations where we've had that pop up, and you just have to deal with it one by one when it does. And we have a lot of the need for housing is incredible. Excuse me, but a lot of these people that use tents and live like that are ones who don't want to go into living
They don't want the
place.
social services.
Right, they just don't want to deal with that. So it's just a mess. And so thank you. And I know many of the people in the community have seen you out there on hot, sunny days doing what you're doing. That's great. That's fantastic. And we really appreciate it.
Stand-up yoga.
And then we have another individual, Bruce. Could you give us a little update on some things that are going on? And introduce yourself.
Yeah, you have to. Bruce Hill. Several items, just a reminder of the Bronzeville Communication Network is our platform to communicate things that are going on in the neighborhood, do a better job making sure folks know the good opportunities that are available. So Marty Sutton and Bob Lentz are our keys for that. So just a reminder, keep sharing that, to use that as a platform to share what's going on in the community. The second item I highlight is a reminder of the investments we've made through the Growth Edge Fund, which was investing in entrepreneurs that are in the neighborhood. We gave funds out through a Shark Tank type program to individuals in the neighborhood that have upstarting businesses. In addition, we sponsored 6 individuals from the neighborhood, again, in business development, entrepreneurship, through a training program through the Urban Business School. So, again, we're trying to increase business development in the neighborhood because that's also helpful to strengthen the neighborhood. And the last item I would highlight is the Bronzeville Strong Start program, which, as we've talked before, this is an issue with our kids in our community. Less than 10% of them by 3rd grade are proficient in math and reading. And if that is the case, the likelihood of them graduating from high school is very low, and the likelihood of them going to jail is very high. So we're trying to correct that. The program has it continues to grow. We have now 15 volunteers, 20 kids, and started this last school year, has been continuing on through the summer, seeing great progress with the families and kids that we've had in the program. So continue to spread the word there. It's an issue that you need to help support the families, and then you have to have the kids show up regularly. So I'm happy to say it's growing, but we know it needs to grow a lot further than the 20 kids we have now to impact the kids that in total are in the neighborhood in that space.
My question is, do you know if the city schools is going to keep that school since they're into it to get something out?
That school be Trevitt?
Yes.
As of now, I mean, they end up adding 60 new students this last year to their enrollment. But they're bringing them in from other communities. Many of our kids actually are not choosing Trevitt. They're going to schools that are other than Trevitt.
That skews numbers.
That it skews the numbers in regards to them from the neighborhood.
Right.
Right.
So for that going to a school from this neighborhood, which have a whole bunch of kids going, that's not a true picture.
Right.
And that's the same thing with East High School.
Oh,
They bring them in. I mean, it's definitely has an impact on how they perceive the neighborhood. And I'd like to open up the floor to any discussion, questions, concerns that you have. So, Stephanie?
I saw the news where Equitas received funds from the government. Is there no issue with doing in that corner?
Excuse me?
Equitas gets funding from the
Right.
federal government, and they're not receiving funding. So is it going to be an issue with Equitas being in that building? Are we going to have to look
That-
at what's going on?
I don't know what to tell you about that. Equitas has various properties that they have around the city, and I don't know if they're statewide, what it is. but I know they have income, they have money. So
Federal-
how that impacts that particular property, I can't tell you, but they have control of the building.
Yeah, they're a part of federally qualified health centers, which are set up in underserved communities, and the funding is dramatically reduced, which will have to severely impact them. So we'll see how that plays out, but we cannot be good for that.
They have-
They already in bankruptcy? It's something I thought they were.
No. No, they're not in bankruptcy.
They would struggle.
I know that they've been struggling. I thought they were actually in bankruptcy.
So, but Equitas has property there at Short North. They're second or third floor, somewhere around there, and other locations. And again, we were wanting to work with Equitas on doing a project there at the vacant lot across from the Lincoln Theater to help Equitas with its parking concerns and our concerns about affordable housing and a store market. So that's kind of on hold. But Equitas has been a good partner in the neighborhood, wanting to work with us, doing various things. So we'll see what happens. But the current administration in Washington is definitely having impact on inner city neighborhoods. Like I said, they've reduced monies for trees, which inner city neighborhoods around the country that need the greening, the trees for cooling, that are feeling the greatest impact and will. And we also, they are affecting various affordable housing projects. We know the National Church Residence Project with Trinity Baptist was to have started this summer. We're not seeing any action. There's no notice. There's no apparent site work. There's no nothing. So who knows? I don't know, but again, they may be one of those projects that are being impacted by the pulling back of monies for affordable housing in predominantly mixed communities, which is what Bronxville is, which is a disappointment. So does anybody else have any concerns or statements or interests they would like to address?
Well, mine is I would like to support attending these meetings because when you talk about the property tax, when that first occurred, you had persons here giving advice as to what to do and how to affect your bill. I'm one of those happy persons and that I took advantage of the information I received by being here at this meeting and did get my property tax adjusted, and I really appreciate that. And then secondly, I really appreciate Marty Sutton. He has supported the sharing the information of the James Preston Poindexter Foundation, their drum circle that will be held over in Poindexter on August 2nd. And I appreciate that it is now on your website and being shared with the neighborhood. And also, we're having a fish fry for a fundraiser. And if you'd like to have a ticket, I do have some tickets. But I appreciate by being here. It's important to support these meetings and being in person. And thank you. Thank you for your support. I believe it's going to be 12 to 5.
And just for me to add on to the Bethany Presbyterian Church is doing their Bronxville Push for Peace also on August the 2nd from 4 to 6, which is going to be right at Andy Moore Park. And they're going to have some, well, they already have a wonderful program planned, as far as music, and we're going to make sure that we have some food trucks and et cetera, et cetera. And also, I'm thinking Food Walker might be looking at having several different types of booths there to get information and so forth. So again, it's something that we do every year, and we would definitely are looking forward to doing it this year.
Where's your fish fry gonna be?
It will be there at the church. It'll be a part of the drum circle is all around.
Same day.
Right there at the drum circle is a part of the fundraising.
Do you have any update on Brady Recreation Center?
Update on what?
Brady, it's closed, right?
Yeah.
Update on what's going to be open.
For the bike singer?
Yeah, excuse me, I keep saying, I can't hear because we have a fan going, that's why I'm having a little difficulty hearing.
Brady Recreation
Yeah,
Center, is
that's
there an update on when we might be opening or the might start?
No, I haven't heard the latest on that. We have several recreation facilities in the neighborhood which have been here for a long time, and Beatty is one of those. And it was closed for various reasons, so we're hoping to get things so they can be reopened. But it has a significant history and presence in this neighborhood, along with many other things that have been here for a long time, which for various reasons, various times, they closed, and then we've been able to reopen them. And the nice thing about this neighborhood is it has most of what it needs. It just needs to be tweaked or adjusted at various times. Being a 150-year-old neighborhood, we're blessed with a lot. So does anybody else have any other concerns?
Do you know it's being planned for Monroe School area?
Yes, the Monroe Middle School was one of, I believe, 4 schools that was announced that were going to be demolished. And that is supposed to happen, at least they said, within 4 months. So probably by next year, it will be gone. What they do is they clear the site, and then that site and the adjacent site where the old, trying to remember the name of the school. Remember that there was another school right catty corner to a very historic school. They tore down 30 years ago. And it was those 2 properties together make up what would be the Monroe site. So what the Columbus Public Schools does is they wait until they have what they consider the best and highest use for the property. So several years ago, Douglas Elementary School in Old Town, behind the BP gas station, there between Ohio and 18th, the old Douglas School, they tore down, and that site remained empty for quite a few years. And then a year and a half ago, there was a senior center that was proposed that the city schools decided was a worthy project. And that was from our city council, trying to remember her name. Remember the name? No. The name of the senior center is the previous Fran Ryan Senior Center. Yes, she was the one who established the area commissions many years ago and was on city council. And so they built a beautiful facility there for various senior programming. She helped dedicate it. So supposedly we'll get something of comparable quality up here where the Monroe Middle School is. It's not going to be a senior project. I don't mean that. What I mean is it could be housing. It could be a facility for farming, inner city farming, some kind of small business, incubator with maybe agriculture, which we've talked about for many years. Could be something like that. But the city schools will wait and consider it. They just don't sell it to anybody who wants it like that to get the money back. That's not what they do. And I think the state has something to do with that also, and how the land gets released. So at the moment, it'll just remain vacant when it comes down.
Yeah, that's going to be important for the neighborhood, though. You might want to keep
Right.
track of that.
Oh yeah, we have for some time. We've been talking to Columbus Public Schools about that property for since it was closed. So we've had our finger on that. And the two towers are going to come down right behind it. The people doing that project, I know, would like to have this part of that project, the property. So, if they make a proposal, depending on what it is, how they do it, that could conceivably make for a very large housing project, if that gets incorporated in the project, which could, again, conceivably, if they get it, go from Atchison up to Leonard, which is a lot of real estate, a lot of housing, which we need. But we in the community have said we would like to have that incorporate some type of small business incubator for farming, processing of food, because we have access to freeways. It could help other inner city neighborhoods, but it could be a farming center in addition to additional housing. So there's a lot of projects that have been proposed for that site. Anybody else have any statements, concerns, interests?
One last question is, does anybody have any update on the call? Who's coming up?
No, I know there's been a lot of presentations with the various property owners, and at the moment, I don't know where that is, where that stands, and we'll see what happens. I know it's been a lengthy process. There's been a lot of trips to various co-ops around the Midwest to see how they're being done, but I do know that while this neighborhood is trying to figure out how to make this work, and there's a lot of ideas with a lot of good people involved, there's other projects being announced all over downtown. You've got this new store that's supposed to go in right near COSI. That's going to include a grocery store. It's going to be on the first floor of an apartment building, and they're going to have parking. I believe it's the first 1 or 2 floors of the parking garage is going to be for people going to the store, and then there'll be parking above that for the apartments. It's a yeah, right. It's going to be a good, big grocery store.
Is it one of the buildings that's already been built?
No, it's going to be built.
The railroad tracks, it's standing there.
It's across from the new Veterans
Right.
Yeah.
building there on Broad Street, and then it's the same distance
Being
there
the
from
railroad tracks,
COSI.
so that-
It's not too far from Spaghetti Warehouse, where that used to be, right in there.
Well, he's talking about the Continental with the condos. I think that's
I just know that there's a lot. I was just recently in that area, and there's so many new apartments
Right.
there, and I'm going like, wow.
There's going to be a lot more. So-
Rise and bands all
Right.
over the place.
So they're talking about a good sized store there, and seems like I've heard of another location being talked about for the store, plus what we want to do in this neighborhood. So we're having the critical mass is now here. It's approached, and that critical mass is just going to get greater. So the demand for the stores, I know Aldi's recently built a new location at 5th, right there, not too far from Giant Eagle on West 5th. So that's another close one. You have Lucky's there in Thirdwood Village, right by 670 and Neal Avenue. So, I mean, they're getting closer and closer to us. We just want to get something here in this neighborhood. And anybody else with any? Yeah.
I do, as that historian, I still want to bring up the few original historic buildings that you have left. Please take the time to make sure that there is some preservation of that history in some of our historic buildings. St. Mark's is one of those. Dr. Messick's hospital there at Long and 17. Those buildings should have some formal recognition as being historic buildings.
And speaking of that, the Edna building right beside Dr. Matthew, if anybody's been there at Talmadge and Long, which is between 17th and Monroe on the south side, the Edna building is simply gorgeous. They started putting the big storefront in, and they tuck pointed it, they put new windows in, they've done the storefront. It's an amazing building, and we keep telling this story, but we have one of our members, Stephanie, and myself with Willis and other people, and many of them have passed. 20-some years ago, maybe it was close to 25 years ago, we went in the Edna, when it still had the original stairway, railing, the woodwork. Oh, it was unbelievable. It really needed work. But we got a tour of it from the city because the city controlled the building at that time. And then when we had the blizzard back in 2009, I believe, the roof caved in. And the city, Department of Development, particularly Boyd Stafford, wanted to bring the building down. He wouldn't do anything with it, and he let it deteriorate, what they call benign neglect. So the building is so far gone, they have to tear it down. They can't save it. Well, we've battled that. We got a roof on it. Thank you, Randy Black, for this story. Many of us who dealt with the city and historic preservation remember Randy Black. He was there forever, since retired. He fought to get the right roof, historically appropriate roof on that building, which saved it until the current people with the Thomas Land Bank, who and the developer, Brian Higgins, have spent a lot of time. It's taken a lot of time to bring that building back. But if you go by there and see it, it's simply gorgeous. It's beautiful. And they're closer. I don't want to give a timeline. They're still working on the inside. But that's an example, like you were saying, Rita, of the buildings that we have in this neighborhood. And for the longest time, it was an invisible building. People wouldn't look at it because it was all boarded up. But we knew what it was.
And the stores.
Yes. Right. So, which in my final point, again, I'm talking about the current administration in Washington. They are trying to alter, rewrite, redefine the history of this country. But we in this neighborhood know our history. We've documented it. And Rita Smith has spent much of her life following that, developing that, putting that together. And several of us have also been doing that for a shorter period of time. We have what's been going on in this neighborhood since it's been here. So nobody's coming in here to change our history. And we will do whatever we have to get it disseminated to as many people as possible. And yes.
Can you explain to me how they repair sidewalks? Because there's new sidewalks all the way up to Monroe there, and then Cannabis building, the sidewalks are totally deteriorated, and then you come to the Etna building, and then that half block needs new sidewalks. I mean, I don't know, they're putting $4 million in the Etna building, the sidewalks going up to it are terrible, okay?
Well, the Edna, that in the city will come in at another point. Frequently, it's later in the project. They had to do things the way those buildings are on Long Street. A lot of their stuff is actually in the sidewalk underneath, so they have to do things there. They're not going to do sidewalk work until they have those buildings and their utilities and everything taken care of.
But they say that the property owner has to pay for the sidewalk, okay? We wouldn't know that because you got new sidewalks on your place, okay?
Frequently, that's the case.
Okay. But so, does Cannabis have to pay for their sidewalks, or because and we're toward downtown, it's all new sidewalks everywhere, okay?
Right.
And so they didn't do those individual property owners. They probably came in and did them as a group, I would think.
Right. That's like what they did with the Alden, what they did with the Delphi apartments on the next block down.
Yeah.
When they do a development like that, then they do the sidewalks. They recently did that with the deal over there at Hamilton and Long. They did a long section of sidewalks. They wait till they get the project to a certain point, and then they'll do the sidewalks. They don't want to do the sidewalks before because you don't want to damage the sidewalks because of moving of equipment, or if they have to go underground to do things with utilities. Because Long Street, all the utilities are just unbelievable what's going underneath all that spaghetti, right? Near those buildings. So eventually, and they may have an agreement with the city, the developer on that project, to deal with the sidewalks. I don't know, but they frequently do.
Well, that would make the project look a lot better if they fix the sidewalks.
Oh yeah, right, bit by bit. And that's a nice thing. We do have sidewalks in this neighborhood. A lot of neighborhoods don't have them, but we like to keep ours nice. I can see it, absolutely. So if there's nothing else, then I move that the meeting be closed. Everybody's second? Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.